Yes?
There is no equivalence of it. So that, yes.
So you don't agree? And it's fine, you don't agree, that's fine.
But it is not like what happened on January 6th, which was an insurrection incited by the President of the United States.
Who's ready for a Nancy Pelosi ass spanking? Oh my God, this video is like a delicious dessert. It is like a one-of-a-kind chocolate masterpiece. You're going to love this, Nez Nation. Winston Marshall, just a little bit of context, is a former banjo player for the band Mumford & Sons, which makes me just love him even more. A lot of you guys might not know this about me, but I played guitar in several bands, not anybody like big or anything, but I was a musician for a long time in my 20s, and banjo is one of my favorite instruments. I love the banjo. He now hosts a podcast for The Spectator. He spoke in opposition to an Oxford Union motion that quote, this House believes populism is a threat to democracy. And speaking for the motion, you guessed it, it pains me to even say this. It pains me, I think, as an American more than anything, that not only pushing up daisies Pelosi is representing the other side, but the fact that she's being hailed as a representative of America at all. But my goodness, the restitution, the vindication, the juicy vindication that we get right here, Nez Nation, is just absolutely breathtaking. Check this out.
Now look to Mr. Winston Marshall to close the case for the opposition.
Ladies and gentlemen,
Words have a tendency to change meaning. When I was a boy, woman meant someone who didn't have a cock. Populism has become a word used synonymously with racist. We've heard ethno-nationalist, with bigot, with hillbilly, redneck, with deplorables. Elites use it to show their contempt for ordinary people. This is a recent change. Not long ago, Barack Obama, while still president at the North America's Leaders Summit in June 2016, he took umbrage with the notion that Trump be called a populist. How could Trump be called a populist? He doesn't care about working people. If anything, Obama argued, he was the populist. If anything, Obama argued, Bernie was the populist. It was Bernie who'd spent 5 decades fighting for working people. But Trump, something curious happens. If you watch Obama's speeches after that point, more and more recently, he uses the word populist interchangeably with strongman, with authoritarian. The word changes meaning. It becomes a negative, a pejorative, a slur. To me, populism is not a dirty word. Since the 2008 crash, and specifically the $1 trillion Wall Street bailout, we are in the populist age. And for good reason. The elites have failed. Let me address some common fallacies, some of which have been made tonight. If the motion was that demagoguery was a threat to democracy, I would be on that side of the House. If the motion was that political violence was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the House. January 6th has been mentioned. A dark day for America indeed. And I'm sure Congresswoman Pelosi will agree that the entire month of June 2020, when the federal courthouse in Portland, Oregon was under siege and under insurrection by radical progressives, those two were dark days for America. Yes?
There is no equivalence of it. So that, yes.
So you don't agree? And it's fine, you don't agree, that's fine.
But it is not like what happened on January 6th, which was an insurrection incited by the President of the United States.
So you don't agree? But you'll condemn those days. My point though, is that all political movements are susceptible to violence and indeed insurrection. And if we were arguing that fascism was a threat to democracy, I'd be on that side of the house. Indeed, the current populist age is a movement against fascism. I've got quite a lot to get through. Populism, as you know, is the politics of the ordinary people against an elite. Populism is not a threat to democracy. Populism is democracy. And why else have universal suffrage if not to keep elites in check? Ladies and gentlemen, given the success of Trump and more recently Javier Milei taking a chainsaw to the state behemoth of Argentina's bureaucratic monster, you'd be mistaken for thinking this was a right-wing populist age. But that would be ignoring Occupy Wall Street. That would be ignoring Jeremy Corbyn's for the many, not the few. That would be ignoring Bernie against the billionaires, RFK Jr. against Big Pharma, and more recently, George Galloway against his better judgment. Now, all of them, including Galloway, recognize genuine concerns of ordinary people being otherwise ignored by the establishment. I'm actually rather surprised that our esteemed opposition, Congressman Pelosi, is on that side of the motion. I thought the left was supposed to be anti-elite. I thought the left was supposed to be anti-establishment. Today, particularly in America, the globalist left have become the establishment. I suppose for Ms. Pelosi to have taken this side of the motion, she'd be arguing herself out of a job. Ladies and gentlemen, populism is the voice of the voiceless. The real threat to democracy is from the elites. Now, don't get me wrong. We need elites. If President Biden has shown us anything, we need someone to run the countries. When the president has severe dementia, it's not just America that crumbles, the whole world burns. But let's examine the elites. European corporations spend over 1 billion euros a year lobbying Brussels. US corporations spend over $2 billion a year lobbying in DC. 2/3 of Congress receive funding from pharmaceutical companies. Pfizer alone spent $11 million in 2021. They made over $10 billion in profit. No wonder then that 66% of Americans think the economy is rigged against them for the rich and the powerful. And by the way, we used to have a word for when big business and big government were in cahoots. And I think any students here of early 20th century Italian history know what I'm talking about. About big tech. Throughout the pandemic, Biden's team, the FBI, and the Department of Homeland Security colluded with big tech in censoring dissenting voices, not kooky conspiracy theorists. People like Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, the Stanford epidemiologist. People like Harvard scientist Martin Kulldorff. People spreading true information, not misinformation, true information at odds with the government narrative. Need I remind you, democracy without free speech is not democracy. This was a direct breach, by the way, of the First Amendment. Before COVID, intelligence services colluded with big tech to have Trump suspended off Twitter. Yes, the same platform which hosted the Taliban and Ayatollah deaf to Israel Khomeini, they thought the president crossed the line when he tweeted on Jan 6th, quote, "Remain peaceful, no violence, respect the law and our great men and women in blue." That's a quote. You may be thinking now that Trump is a populist. You are right. He didn't accept the 2020 elections, and he should have. So should Hillary in 2016, so should Brussels, and so should Westminster in 2016, and so too should Congresswoman Pelosi, instead of saying the 2016 election was, quote, hijacked. Quote, hijacked.
It was.
Thank you.
That means that we don't accept the results of it.
Okay. What about the mainstream media? Let me read you some mainstream media headlines. The New Yorker the day before the 2016 election. The case against democracy. The Washington Post the day after the election. The problem with our government is democracy. The LA Times, June 2017. The British election is a reminder of the perils of too much democracy. Vox, June 2017. The two eminent political scientists say the problem with democracy is voters. New York Times, June 2017. The problem with participatory democracy is the participants. Mainstream media elites are part of a class who don't just disdain populism, they disdain the people. If the Democrats had put half their energy into delivering for the people, Trump wouldn't even have a chance in 2024. He shouldn't have a chance. You've had power for 4 years. From the fabricated Steele dossier to trying to take him off the ballot in both Maine and Colorado, the Democrats are the anti-Democrat party. All we need now is the Republicans to come out as the pro-monarchist party. Ladies and gentlemen, populism is not a threat to democracy, but I'll tell you what is. It's elites ordering social media to censor political opponents. It's police shutting down dissenters, be it anti-monarchists in this country or gender-critical voices here, or last week in Brussels, the National Conservative movement. Tell you what is a threat to democracy. It's Brussels, DC, Westminster, the mainstream media, big tech, big pharma, corporate collusion, and the Davos cronies. The threat to democracy comes from those who write off ordinary people as deplorable. The threat to democracy comes from those who smear working people as racists. The threat to democracy comes from those who write off working people as populists. And I'll say one last thing. This populist age can be brought to an end at the snap of a finger. All that needs to be done is for elites to start listening to, respecting, and, God forbid, working for ordinary people. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. A lot of great points brought up, and you heard Pelosi. I mean, you could just feel her burning in her chair. She's just absolutely shivering with rage because how dare somebody. There was a actual her assistant was there, and there was actual observers who noticed that during this entire speech by this banjo player, this musician, Winston Marshall, that she was mouthing, "Who are you? Who are you?" And she kept turning around to her assistant saying, "Who is this guy?" As if to say, "How dare you question me, Miss Elite pushing up daisies Pelosi." Oh, I love you, Winston. Good job. I'm going to try to get this guy on our show if we can interview him and he can talk more. Because everything he said was absolutely spot on, especially what I think is the biggest point. And by the way, if you don't know what populism is, if you're wondering what populism is, populism by definition, okay, I'm looking at the actual definition here on Oxford Dictionary. A political approach that strives to appeal to ordinary people who feel that their concerns are disregarded by established elite groups. Sounds good to me, absolutely, and it sounds exactly spot on to the definition that Winston Marshall is purporting. The key thing that he said there was, if you guys, you elites, you woke mind virus mafia pushing up daisies, Pelosi, Obama, Clinton, Oprah, that whole consortium, if you guys were truly populous, if you guys were truly for the people, Trump wouldn't stand a chance. The very reason that Trump has emerged and this movement has emerged is the very symptomatic reason that you elites, you hypocritical, power-mongering, fear-mongering elites, throw your nose up at the public. You haven't worked for the public in ages. He said it best. You had 4 years. You had 4 years to prove that you were going to work for the ordinary man, for the common man, for the common American hard worker. You've completely proven the exact antithesis, the exact opposite. You haven't done one thing for the working people. Here's a clip right here of Pelosi, pushing up Daisies Pelosi, actually admitting that these people, us, the hardworking common people, we don't know what we're talking about. Remember what I've said time and time again, Nez Nation. I've said this time and time again. I've worked with these people. I know these people. Their souls have massive deficiencies. They are dark, dark, evil individuals. I've worked with them in academia. I've worked with them in Washington. I know everything about these elites. They are complete and utter vermin from the inside out. I've told you many, many times, they actually think they know what's best for us rather than us. It's the whole don't believe your eyes, believe me mentality. They actually think we're stupid. They think that we can't exercise critical thinking, critical discernment, our sovereignty as an American republic. These guys don't give a rat's ass about us. Here she is. She even admits, check out this clip. She admits that we're a bunch of momos. Check this out.
Of these poor souls who are looking for some answers. We've given them to them, but they're blocked by some of their views on guns. They have the 3 Gs, guns, gays, God, that would be a woman's right to choose. And the cultural issues cloud some of their reception of an argument that really is in their interest.
So pushing up Daisies Pelosi is literally arguing that voters are, quote, blocked, end quote, from making good rational decisions and voting for her and her elitist, scum, anti-American, pro-Ukrainian party because of our culture and our views on God? I mean, ladies and gentlemen, it's now or never. The stakes can't be any higher. These guys are going to completely dismantle everything we know, everything we've come to love, respect, our values, our principles, everything that the Constitution has embedded in the very fabric of our beautiful country. These guys want to dismantle all of that. Pretty soon, they're going to be introducing legislation to take away our vote. They're going to take away everything because all they care about is themselves and holding on to power, retaining power. Trump is the antidote. Trump is the kryptonite to their dwindling, melting away power, and they can't stand it. They can't stand to see it, which is why you see rallies in New Jersey, a deep blue state of over 100,000 people. You'll never see anything like that at a Tombstone Biden, Vegetable in Chief Biden rally. Never have, never will. See ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Hasta la pasta. Got to make patriotism viral. That's our new mantra here at the channel. I mean, it's always been our mantra, but let's make patriotism go viral. Let's renew our pride in our country. Let's get the populist vote out there. I need you to tap that thumbs up, share this with everybody you know. And also, I want to hear from you. What are your thoughts? I don't care what party you're from. I don't care what gender. I don't care what race. I want to hear from everybody. If you're an American, a non-American, I want to hear. I want smart, intelligent people. No personal ad hominem attacks. I don't even deal with that. I don't even give you a breath's hair of intention. You'll get banned immediately. But if you have something critical, something interesting, especially if you oppose my views, I mean, let me know. I'm happy to be wrong because I'm all about the truth here. Okay, I want to get our country back. I love and I bleed red, white, and blue, and I want to get my country back. And these elites who don't give a rat's ass about us, they need to go. Let's make patriotism go viral. Share this out with as many people as you know, especially your radical left, liberal, pro-Palestine friends. Share this with everybody that you know. Tap that thumbs up and let me know in the comments what you think. I want to hear from you, okay? As always, it's really, really hard for me to respond to every single comment. It's almost physically impossible. So super chats get top priority. Members get top priority. Consider becoming a member. It only costs you a cup of coffee a month. You spend more than that in 30 seconds every morning to support the truth. And you get access to our live streams with a special badge next to your name, first priority responses, access to our members only Discord, exclusive content, and a whole lot more. The link's in the pinned comment, description, and show notes. Also, if you made it this far, subscribe to our free newsletter. I got something free for you. This is free. Our free newsletter. Subscribe to our free newsletter. Become a Nez Nation Insider. That's in the pinned comment, show notes, and in the description. Just click on the link. Click on free newsletter, put in your best email, boom, you're in. You get all the best, latest top news, current events, top stories right to your inbox, and you never have to worry about anything else. And so it's your one-stop shop. You don't need another channel. You don't need anybody else. I do all my own qualitative and quantitative research, and I bring it to you every single day. I want to get my country back. Let's make patriotism viral. Check out these videos coming up on the screen right now. Follow, subscribe. As always, God bless you, and may God bless America. I'll see you soon.